Good morning, Eric. Leonard Parker here. I just wanted to get back to you with this audit of your website. I had a chance to look at your website and some of your other online properties, and you can think of this audit the same way as you would a visit to the mechanic. So I look at your website from multiple perspectives to see kind of what are some areas that you're doing well in, and what are some areas where you can improve. And pretty much I build a list. So a few things I'm going to be looking at: the site speed. So simply how fast your site is loading and the performance grade for your website, your site's mobile usability, your site's backlink profile, your website content. I did a check for your on-page SEO, so a few recommendations there. And then finally, I looked at your citations, or the citations for your business. And I'll get into more what those are in a bit here. So starting on your website, very good looking website, by the way. Saw that you are using 20/10, which is a great platform, one of the best in the financial services industry. So good choice. So my recommendation for your homepage, and this does have an SEO benefit, but it can also help with converting more of those folks who land on your website to actually call you or contact you, is adding some type of video. Because the issue here is, let's say we were to take your logo off the homepage and really any of your branding off the page, off the website, and put another firm's logo here. Would this also apply to them? And you don't have to answer that, obviously, but I think you get my point here, is that you want to make sure that you are standing apart from other firms in your area and other firms where you might be competing for clients with. And sure, there are enough clients to go around, but if someone lands on your website, you want to put your best foot forward as far as getting them to contact you and see if they're a good fit. And one way you can do that is with video. Video definitely has SEO benefits. You can upload it to YouTube and other video platforms, and those are other channels where prospective clients can find you. But it also helps with your conversion optimization. It helps people stay on your website longer, and if they do like you and think that you would be a good person to work with, they're more likely to call you or schedule an appointment. And then one last thing on that, it also will help push away those prospects who wouldn't be good fit. You know, some people, if you have a certain accent or just a certain mannerisms, they may be turned off. And you don't want to waste your time meeting with those people if those things are what's going to turn them away. So works both ways. So again, my recommendation is that you do add some type of video to your front page here. Something else I noticed, and this is also dealing with conversion optimization, is your phone number. It's really not visible. Someone has to scroll all the way here to the bottom to find it. And it's nowhere here above the fold. So recommend that you consider adding your phone number somewhere where it's easily visible. And I say that I don't know your entire funnel from prospect to client, so I'm guessing you have them sign up for the newsletter, and then once you send those newsletters, you build a relationship, then they contact you, and that makes sense too. But even then, you might want to make sure this sign up for our newsletter button just sticks out a little bit more. So those are, some of my thoughts on conversion optimization for your website. Now I'll get into the list I mentioned earlier. So I ran your website through a tool called GT Metrics. It's a free tool. This is something you can run on your end. And I see that your website on average loads at about 2.5 seconds. But you'll see here your speed scores are C's. And really 2.6 seconds, that's really not a bad time. It's under my benchmark of 3 seconds, but the ideal would be under 1 second. And the great thing about your website is that there are actually some areas for improvement here. And these are fairly simple. So minify JavaScript basically means minify some of the code on your website, clean it up, make it more readable. Serve scaled images. So I won't get too much into the detail, but let's say you have an image that is 500 by 500. But on your website, you're rendering it as 1000 by 1000 pixels. It takes extra resources for your website for the code to make that change. So whatever the image size should be, you should make sure that that's actually specified in the HTML. And then finally, leverage browser caching, which basically means if someone comes to your website, it'll just load faster for them with each visit because it's already in their browser's memory. So I understand again that you're on 20/10. So these are not fixes that we can make directly. So I would recommend that you contact your 20/10 representative, and they can help you with some of these issues. So moving on to mobile usability. So this one is pretty short. Your website is mobile friendly. Something I suggest if you really want to hone in on conversion optimization is to install a heat map. And this heat map will allow you to see even though your website is listed as mobile friendly, is it difficult for your website users to use it on their mobile phone or even use it on their laptop or desktop? And if it is, you'll notice that they'll scroll down a certain percentage of the page, then fall off. And those are the type of advanced analysis that can really help you improve your SEO and really improve your conversion optimization. Next, moving on to backlinks. So I ran your website in a tool called Ahrefs, and I see that you have 3 referring domains, or in other words, 3 websites that are linking back to you. So I see you have something for, looks like traversitychamber.org, whatisdomain.net, which is probably an automated backlink, and then looks like you're on the plannersearch.org website. And when I look at some of the phrases that we want to make sure you rank well for, you're doing fairly well. So for financial planner, Traverse City, you're number 6 here. For financial advisor, Traverse City, you're number 3. For wealth management, Traverse City, you're number 2 here in the map, actually number 1 here in the map, and you're number 1 in organic. So if you could do that for each of the target keywords, that would be ideal. And then for fee-only financial advisor, Traverse City, you're number 8. And then for fee-only financial planner, Traverse City, you are number 9. Okay. So I won't even talk about wealth management because you're already doing very well there. So I'll just move that tab over here. But for a financial planner, Traverse City, so I want you to pay attention to one metric here. Let me zoom in to make sure you can see it. So this is your search result, and you'll see here, I have these different SEO metrics. So I want you to pay attention to this RD. So that's referring domains, or again, number of websites that are pointing back to you. And you can see here you have 3, which we just saw in Ahrefs. Now, if we look at some of the websites ahead of you, so for example, Proud Financial Design, they have 46. Independent Wealth Management, they have 24. And so I think you see the difference there is that they have a lot more referring domains than your website. And you'll notice, Independent Wealth Management, they're number 1. They have 24, while where were they? Proud Financial Design have 46, so almost double. But that's just a number. We also want to look at the quality of those backlinks. But the general, takeaway here, or key takeaway here that I want you to have, is that the more referring domains that or websites that you have linking back to you, the better able you will be to compete with these two guys. And the reason why that's important, you'll see here, so there are about on average 30 searches per month for financial planner in your area, about 50 searches per month for financial advisor. But for wealth management, you'll see this number is 0. And this is just an estimate. It might not be correct, but yeah, these are more highly searched for phrases. So I would definitely prioritize these phrases for your SEO. But that's to say you're still ranking very well, you're still on the first page, but one big area of opportunity I see is building more backlinks to your website. And this doesn't have to be difficult. We can start on a local level. So, I saw that, again, that you have a backlink from the Chamber of Commerce in your area. Look at other local organizations, even organizations where you're already a member, or one of your team members is already a member, and you can get backlinks from those websites, and those will add to your local relevance. You can also, seek out other organizations, professional and business organizations in your area, and get backlinks from those sites as well. You should also look at financial services related websites. There are quite a few. I'll actually share with you a document that shows some of the more popular paid and free websites where you can have your firm listed, and those also act as backlinks. Once we cover the low-hanging fruit with local and financial services websites, then we will look at some higher or bigger opportunities for not only backlinks but generating traffic from those websites linking back to you. So one of my go-tos would be guest posting. So fairly simply, you write an article on some financial services topic, something that's trending in the financial services industry, edit it, and then you send it over to a website and have them link back to you. That's usually how it works. If you have any resources that you think would be helpful for students or helpful for a particular demographic, we can go to a university or organization's website that caters to that demographic or caters to your content, and ask that they post or link to it. And .edu backlinks, they're very powerful. They're more difficult to obtain, but they would have a much bigger impact on your website backlink profile compared to another just simple website. And then finally, citations. And I'll go into more detail about these later because these are an area of opportunity for you. But you can think of citations. They are online references to your business and that address your name, your business address, and your phone number. And Google citations are important because Google uses these to evaluate your online and local authority. So, for example, if there were 2 pizza parlors in Traverse City, and one of them, let's just say both of them had 10 citations, but for one of those businesses, all of the citations were correct. The business name, the business address, the business phone number was all consistent. And then for the other pizza parlor, they had different business names on websites. They had different phone numbers, different addresses. This throws up a red flag. So you want to make sure that everything is consistent across the web when it comes to your business. And since we're already talking about citations, I'll go ahead and look at that analysis. So I ran your website, your business information through a tool called Yext, and it looks like for the most part, your citations are optimized. However, the big area of opportunity I see for you is adding your business to more websites. And you can see here everywhere where it shows missing listing, that means that you don't have a listing on that website. So highly recommended that we go out and build listings on these websites. Not only do they help with backlinks, but they also help with your online authority. So definitely would be one of the first priorities if we were to work together would be to add these citations. So moving on to content, and I'm going to go back to your website there. So I have two recommendations for your content. So first, on your newsletter page, so I see what you're doing here. So you do a very good job. You just link to a PDF there, which is great. Now, you would get more SEO benefit from this content if you were to post it directly onto your website, because you'll have different keywords that actually sit on your website and not on in a PDF file. If Google were to review this, it's limited. The algorithm is limited, at least at this point, on how it's able to process this text in your PDF. So the best option would be to post this content directly on its own content page. Now moving on to services. So my recommendation here is that you build out separate services pages for each of these different focuses. So for example, you have a Traverse City retirement planning page, you have a Traverse City estate planning page, Traverse City tax planning page, and so forth. And this allows for better keyword optimization, because right now, if the Google spiders, the robots, they reviewed this page, it's not really clear on what your page is about. It just knows it's about services. But if you were able to create a dedicated retirement page or retirement planning page, for example, it's very clear that that's the target focus and that Google would rank you for retirement planning related phrases. And this is another way that you can even improve what you already have. You already have several page one rankings, but you can actually target more keywords to get even more page one rankings. So highly recommend it. And then I didn't see your insights page here. Let's take a quick look. So this is really good. So it looks like I'm not sure, is this your article or you're just linking somewhere? Let's see. Okay. So it looks like you're linking to really good content, which is good. But ideally, you would also add your own content, which I think you were doing in a newsletter section. But let's just make sure that you post that content directly to your website. And now, finally, coming to the end of my audit, I looked at also your on-page SEO. So on-page SEO is simply everything on your website that's related to SEO. So your meta tags, your schema implementation, your usage of keywords, and so forth. And there are a few things I saw regularly on your website that could use some cleanup. So for your page titles, you're using pages or page titles that are too long. And so one example I see, and I think this would be a fairly easy fix, is that you have Black Walnut Wealth Management, as you can see here in this little pop-up box. You have that twice in every title tag, which definitely you want to include it at least once, but if you have it in there twice, it's a little bit redundant and it makes your title tags too long. So ideally you would want your title tags to be under 70 characters. And I'll show you what that looks like when they're too long. So let me see if I can find an example. So you see here how Independent Wealth Management, LLC, Financial Planners, and then it has these ellipses dots. So that's how it looks when your title tag is too long. So instead of including Black Walnut Wealth Management 3 times or twice in your title tags, include it only once, but replace it with some type of power words like Something that's going to evoke some emotion when someone sees your search result in Google here. So example, I really like what they did here. Element Wealth Management, they included relationship, strategy, service. So that appeals a little bit more than Black Walnut Wealth Management. Now you might be wondering, why is this important? Well, if you can think of these little snippets. So let's go to yours. This is your title tag and this is your meta description. And you can think of these as mini advertisements for someone to click on to your website over other websites in the search results. And the more, just like any billboard, like any advertisement, you want to put something out there that's going to catch attention. So including, some key phrases like relationship, service, and so forth will really help with that. Now, adding on to your meta tag, so this little snippet right here is called your meta description. And it doesn't have a direct impact on your SEO, but as I mentioned earlier, it does affect your click-through rates. And click-through rate is a SEO metric that the higher your click-through rate, the easier it is for your website to rank. And you want to make sure that each page on your website has a unique meta description. Very important. And so moving on to your actual pages. So I saw a few pages that were missing heading 1 and heading 2 tags. And that's difficult to see here on the front end, but trust me, the Google robots, they do analyze these pages, and any phrase or text that's in an H1 or H2 tag will be given more weight. So ideally, you would want to put your target keywords into your H1 and H2 tags. So usually you're going to put your primary keyword for a page into your H1 tag, and then any alternative keywords into your H2 tags. So again, using retirement planning as an example, your primary keyword would probably be Traverse City retirement planning. So that would be your H1 tag. And then for your H2 tag, you would probably have something like retirement planner, retirement planning services, planning for your retirement, just different variations of that primary keyword. And if you're wondering how you can check your H1 or H2 tag, so this is probably the most straightforward way. So you would just right click on any page on your website, do a Control F to find H1. Actually, I might want to include the bracket there. So it doesn't look like this page has an H1 tag. You see here, services is a H2 tag. So what you would probably want to do is have services as your H1, and then anything else. So if we were just going to leave this page as is, you would have retirement planning as an H2 tag and so forth. But then again, remember that you want to make this keyword optimized. So maybe something like financial advisory services. At least make it more relevant to the type of services that you offer. And then finally, I saw that a couple of your images on your website, they don't have what's called an alt tag. So an alt tag, well, backing up a bit. So Google rewards websites that are user-friendly. Not only do they load quickly, are usable on a mobile device, but also consider any other issues that might prevent a user from using a website. So all images, all tags, originally they were used to help people who are visually impaired know exactly what an image is on a website. And pretty much you would just align or tie a keyword or a phrase with a particular image. So going back to retirement planning, an alt tag you might want to use here is retirement planning with Black Walnut Wealth Management. So it'll tell Google, tell that person who is visually impaired exactly what your image is about. And so that brings me to the end of the audit. I hope these tips have been helpful. Happy to have a follow-up discussion in case you have any questions. And I look forward to hearing from you soon, Eric. Thank you and have a great rest of your Monday.